Welcome to the ADA book. Today we have Tom Babinszki on. Tom is a friend of mine. Tom is also a well-known and well-respected accessibility professional. And Tom, the other day you posted something on LinkedIn and I clicked on it and I texted you right away because it was so cool. You have a store with miniature buildings, and I asked you if you would come on and we could record an episode on this. And by the way, this is part one of a two-part episode, so I'll include a link to the second part. But Tom, two questions to start off with. One, can you tell us more about you? And then two, what is the store? What are you selling with these miniature buildings?
Hi, Chris. Thank you so much for inviting me to your channel. Let me start from the very beginning because this thing is not necessarily random. It has some background. I was born blind in Hungary, and I came to the United States almost 25 years ago. And I was always very, very interested in travel and cultures and languages and history. And one big part of it is architecture. And as I was traveling around the world, it always left me very frustrated in a way that I didn't understand buildings. Everything was just a cold stone wall, or maybe, a door, or maybe some sounds or echo inside, but I could never understand what buildings look like as a blind person. And then people describe them to me, but to tell you the truth, sometimes that makes it even more confusing. So then one day I had an idea. What if I create miniature versions of those buildings that I've been to so I better understand? And so I did. I hired a 3D designer who started designing buildings for me, and gave me a description. And all of a sudden, the description and the building, holding the building in hand, totally made sense. And it was very, very different from what I ever imagined buildings to be.
And they're so accurate. I was looking at the buildings, the reviews are really good, and there are so many. How many different buildings are you selling right now? Oh, you're holding one up.
Now, holding one up, this is the Philadelphia 30th Street train station. It sounds like a very random building. It's not a random building. I used to study in Philadelphia, and I used to take the train from there every Friday night, and I just really wanted to understand what it looks like. Hopefully you can see this, and I'll turn it around this way.
Yeah, you can see these are actually very detailed, and they get into such great detail on all of the different sides of the building.
I found a fantastic designer. His name is Gabor Toth, who's doing all these buildings for me. And so the idea behind the detail is that we make it as detailed as possible so that fingers can feel it. I don't want to get into any more because, the more detailed you're going to make it, the more expensive it will be to produce. But my idea would be, it's not just for blind people. It's for anybody who understands or appreciates architecture and wants to have, I don't know, a conversation starter on their desk or a building in their classroom that they can teach with. So it can be used in many different ways. And we had a hard time trying to figure out what would be the right size building. This one that I showed you is a little larger than the other buildings in general, but I'm thinking that even though they are very detailed to touch, maybe we could go with something even larger.
So is there anybody else out there selling these miniature buildings?
Yes, of course. There's lots of companies. There are companies who sell replica buildings, and I always specifically state these are not replicas. because it's a single color. There are certain things that we are not able to or do not want to replicate. So this is not, it's just miniature versions. I'm not really aware of anything exactly like this, but you know, you can go to a famous building and you can go to the gift store, and oftentimes you'll find models or mini versions of those buildings. That gave me the idea, you know, because there are certain things you can go to. You can go to the Statue of Liberty and you can get a small Statue of Liberty. But there's also many buildings where you don't get a miniature version that I still would like to understand.
How many different buildings do you have in your store currently?
In the store, there's 9 types of buildings, but some have different sizes. I'm gonna put 2 more in the store very soon. Currently, we have a few buildings from Washington, D.C., a few from Pennsylvania. Actually, most of them are from Philadelphia. We have 4 from Cleveland, and we're in the process of working on buildings from Paris to get it out there before the Olympics.
So,
And then, if all goes well, we're gonna do Budapest, which is my hometown, or was my hometown at some point.
so is this just a matter, is the process you thinking, I'd really like to have this building, and then you talk with your designer, and then from there y'all create the building?
Almost. I try not to have stuff designed just because I would like to have, because it it is ultimately a business, and there's lots of things I would like to have. I try to keep in mind that what is people previously asked me for a particular building. So we're trying to be very strategic, I would say 80% of the time, and the other 20% we're just kind of having fun and create stuff, whether it's needed or useful or not. For example, we're in the process of creating my house because I would like to know what that looks like. Obviously, it's not going to be part of the store.
Tom, the first, I don't know if the video cut out, but the first part of that cut out for me when you first started answering that. What was the first part of what you said?
So primarily, we're trying to create buildings where potentially there's lots of blind people living, either because there's school for the blind, or there's good public transportation, or you know, blind people have asked us to create a particular building that they are interested in. And I would say we're trying to be strategic approximately 80% of the time, and the other 20% we're just having fun. For example, we are creating my house where I currently live. Obviously, that's not going to make it to the store. That's a personal thing, but I'm very interested to understand what it looks like.
And what building were you about to show us?
I'll show you another one. This is, can you tell? Can you guess?
That looks like the Capitol.
Yes, absolutely. Originally, it was a smaller version, and we created it in much larger, and that totally wowed me because here on the steps, you can either even see the little break in the steps, and the windows are much bigger. And even though it's totally easy to feel the smaller size, there's something to this larger one. I think I like it more.
It's very well done. How is the demand increasing for those? Have you noticed more and more people visiting your site?
It's too early to tell. We've been working on it since last September. We had a soft opening sometime in November when we just kind of tested the system, and officially we opened on February 1st.
So this has been, so I saw the LinkedIn post right after it became live. Okay.
Yeah, same day. It's brand new. It's hard to talk about statistics at this point.
Oh, okay. I thought I was like,
We got some overwhelmingly positive feedback so far, but it's even too early to say because even what people ordered probably hasn't arrived yet.
okay. Well, yeah, when I saw it, I looked at it, I was like, this is just it was, they very cool buildings, very intricate. The designs are well done. And I was reading through the reviews, and the people that had received their buildings already, they were very pleased with them. So I was like, I've got to get you on to talk more about these, because they look like collectibles to me. That's what I originally thought of them as, and I think some people may purchase them as collectibles, right?
Yeah, they certainly could be. And there's one more aspect of this project that's very important to talk about. Um, on my website, we created descriptions of each building, but not the description of the actual building. That's something you can find. It's the description of the miniature building if you're holding it in your hand, assuming that you're not able to see it. So that blind people can grab the building, sit down, start reading the description, and follow along and understand what's what. Because, for example, here I think these little things are chimneys, okay? But you don't really know it's a chimney unless you have seen the original building. It's two round little things, right? So certain things have to be explained if you don't know enough about the building or you have not seen this building. Unfortunately, I'm not able to link those explanations from the store because that would violate my agreement, which is sad, because ultimately these buildings only make sense with the explanation if you can see them. If you can, that's a different story. I honestly don't know how detailed are they without the description.
And with that, where can people find these buildings? Where can they find the descriptions? Can you give us the URLs?
Yes, they can go to my Etsy store. It's evengrounds.etsy.com. And then you can go to evengrounds.com/3D-buildings to get the descriptions of the buildings. And there you can sign up for the newsletter and follow the Facebook page that I created for it and get updated information.
And so with the newsletter, people will be able to find out new buildings that you're working on, that are coming out.
Yeah, I'll send out a couple of newsletters a month to let people know what's new.
Okay. And I will include links to your store and the descriptions in this YouTube description. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think this is the story in a nutshell, and everything else will be on the website.
All right, sounds good. So this is part one. And Tom, what can people look forward to in part two of this episode?
I'm going to talk about using artificial intelligence to enhance my travel experiences as a blind person.
And that is coming up in part two. I will also link that video in the description.